Welcome to 5 Points Blues presentation of Back to the Basics. Everything you wanted to know about Cowboys football, but were too afraid to ask. Here are your hosts, Nikki Harrison and Kristi Scales.
Hello, welcome to Back to the Basics. Everything you wanted to know about Cowboys football, but were too afraid to ask. We want to thank Nate Newton for staying on, talking to us, staying with us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's overtime for Nate.
That's right.
Hanging with the girls.
Hanging with the girls.
Yeah, there you go. Love
It's
it.
a new show.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, you're staying with us because Kristi was yelling so loud last night that she lost her voice.
That's it. A little case of laryngitis. So thank you both for doing the heavy lifting today. But no, one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on, Nate, last night's game, coming out of the bye, there had been so many changes with the offense and trading for Amari Cooper, but then also the changes with the offensive line in particular, Mark Colombo taking over for Paul Alexander. Obviously, a change like that, it's a long-term thing and a work in progress. But did you see any difference last night with the offensive line?
Coming out earlier, I think we blocked a little bit better, but they had a guy named Jarrell Casey, number 99, and then a rack pole, outside linebacker, and DeJuan Jones, I think. But Jarrell Casey was the big issue, and I tried to tell the guys earlier on my show last week that is the key. Every time we've faced a defense that has had great interior defensive linemen, we're going to struggle because we have a new center, he's playing okay, but our left guard, Connor Williams, is a work in progress, and sometimes they take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. It's lack of experience and strength. Mm-hmm. So last night they opened the game up a little bit better, and once they got a lead, though, and we had to kind of dictate what we were doing, it kind of reared his ugly face again from the middle. I think Connor gave up 2 sacks. I think Collins gave up 1, and the other 2 I'm going to give to our quarterback.
Where he needed to get rid of the ball a little quicker.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And how do you do that? Is that a skill that you just have to pick up? Is that practice?
A lot of it's feeling, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Situational football.
Yep.
It's and I'll give you an example. You're in the middle of the game, second quarter, 5 minutes left. You down in the red zone. It's third down. If you get rid of the ball, don't take a sack, you get to kick a field goal. You don't get rid of the ball, you get a sack, you're out of field goal range. That's called situational football. You play into a certain situation. And that's where Dak before was good at. Now Dak is not so good at it. A couple of times last night he just ran out of bounds. Once you break the tackle box, you can throw the ball.
Yeah, get rid of it.
But he did 2 or 3 times. He just held on to the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's going a little bit backwards, and that's what's kind of disheartening because they went out and got the receiver,
right?
To try to give him confidence, try to give the offense a boost, and be able to help the defense because all this intertwines, and it didn't work last night. I mean, our defense gave us an opportunity. The first 6 minutes of the game,
Yes.
It was ours.
Yeah, only 7 points out of that first quarter with all of those takeaways because our defense has been so great all year until last night, and they were just awful on third downs and awful in the red zone. The one thing that you could point at the defense, and it's not just us saying this, it's Rod Marinelli, it's Jalen Smith, it's Sean Lee, it's all the guys on the line saying the one thing we need to do more of is take the ball away and help set up our offense. And that's what the defense did last night early in the game, and the offense was not able to capitalize on it.
Right. When we went in halftime and it was tie ball game, I felt like we should have had more points.
Oh, absolutely. Specifically in the first, because the Cowboys got the ball first and drive down, and then Maher misses a 38-yard field goal, which is a chip shot these days by NFL standards. And then Tennessee takes the ball over, and that's when DeMarcus Lawrence forces the fumble, and it's recovered by Sean Lee, and they get the Amari Cooper's first touchdown catch as a Cowboy. But then, the Titans get the ball again, and Jalen Smith recovers the fumble, and Cowboys aren't able to take advantage. That was the Dak throw. You felt he forced it to Amari Cooper.
It's obvious. I mean, what's disheartening is, and I saw this happen with the Giants. 2 years ago, the Giants had a poor offensive line, but they won 12 games that year. But you can see that, okay, they had a great defense. Their defense helped them because their offense was just adequate. Then the next 2 years, this year and last year, they were just terrible. Well, this is what's scaring me because all through this season, this short season, I've been like, okay, offense, you're going to have to carry us. And if the defense ever start getting turnovers and you don't capitalize off those turnovers, a team will blow us out. And people would look at me and say, a team will blow you out because your defense, no matter what comes out of their mouth, they're not going to play the same.
So where do you guys think the disconnect is? I mean, I feel like there's several puzzle pieces and they're all turned in the opposite direction.
I think the disconnect is the Cowboys are an average team.
Okay.
And they are not good enough to overcome self-inflicted wounds, such as penalties and turnovers. And so Dak, what he was so great at, particularly as a rookie, and even last year, not making indiscriminate throws. You know, he takes care of the football. But this year, you know, he had the 2 turnovers last night. And I'm not putting it all on Dak because some of his interceptions earlier in the year bounced off of the wide receivers. Mm-hmm. They weren't necessarily bad throws. But you know, the Cowboys, you mentioned Connor Williams getting beat for a couple of sacks. He had another holding penalty last night in one series, and I believe this was, I have my game notes from last night, if you can read this chicken scratch. But there in the first offensive series for the Cowboys in the third quarter, there was a holding penalty on Connor Williams, a false start on right tackle La'el Collins, and then the fumble by Dak when he was sacked. Mm-hmm. So... And that was just on one series.
Right.
So the Cowboys just cannot afford to shoot themselves in the foot because they're not winning 2 out of 3 facets of the game, defense, offense, special teams, and they're just not able to overcome it. That maybe Nate disagrees with that.
This is what killed the Cowboys last night. And you got 2 minutes, a little bit more than 2 minutes left in the first quarter. They get the ball, start driving. Just after we didn't score, I think we didn't score on the interception.
That's the interception.
They get the ball, start driving. We about got them stopped, and we get a penalty or something, and they maintain. We go to a break, come back into the second quarter. They continue to drive, and when this thing was over, it was 15 plays, 80 yards. 8 minutes and 55 seconds.
That's a very long drive.
Yeah.
Nearly 9 minutes.
Yeah.
They punched us in the gut. And then when you look at the third downs, mm-hmm. that's a celebration for a team, a defensive team, when you have third and anything over 4. You're like, okay, we can get these guys off the field. We had 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 8s, and these guys would stay on the field.
Yes.
Now you kicking me in the gut. And as the game go on, you may not see, okay, well, hey, we were tied up at halftime. But you don't forget 8 minutes and 55 seconds and all those third downs. That's an accumulation of body punches. Mm-hmm. It shows up in the fourth quarter.
Wearing the defense down.
Yes. Yeah. And it showed up.
And our offense on the sideline because
our
defense can't get off. And so, Zeke Elliott, how many touches did he have in the second half? Hardly any.
Right.
And they had fallen behind, but also they weren't out there enough. I was shocked when I saw that. I believe it was 56 plays, Nate.
Yes.
Because at one point, midway through the fourth quarter, I think we only had 44 plays.
Yes.
And so the average is about 65 plays a game. And we're in the middle of the fourth quarter and we barely have over 40. So it just shows how much Tennessee was able to control the ball. especially in the second half, and it's because our defense couldn't get off the field on third down. So that when you know, with statistics, when they talk about overall rankings of teams for offense and defense, they do it by like total yards. But really the things to look at, turnover differential is the number one determining factor in the NFL. Do you take the ball away more than you give it away? And then third down is another important thing because it's in terms of staying on the field, and the Cowboys lost badly in that, and that's what's disheartening because the defense had been very good at that and in the red zone going into last night's game.
You got to understand that this is a combination you never want to happen. They ran more plays than us.
Right.
They were better at third down than us, and the most telling one was their red zone was much better than ours. Okay. We were in their red zone in the first half, maybe 3 times, and we only come up with 7 once.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
overall, we were in the red zone 4 times
right.
for the game and scored once.
Yeah. You can't give up 3 or nothing. You know, when you're in that red zone, you want 3 or more, but you can't have nothing.
So how is it that we played the way they played last night? I say we, like I was out there. And then Jacksonville, when we were able to score 40 points. What's the difference? What's happening?
Matchups.
Okay. And see, a lot of things is mental. And I try to tell people, if we can get Jacksonville defense on its best day, it don't matter who they play, they'll shut them out. And I'm coming from a player's point of view.
Okay.
But when I look over and look at my quarterback, and we just stopped the Cowboys, and next play, we hold them to 3. Then you go out there and throw an interception. Eventually, I'm going to walk over and say, man, you know what? If you look at the Jacksonville game and you watch our offense, when they got 17 points, Jalen Ramsey is their spiritual leader.
Okay.
Jalen Ramsey put his helmet on the bench, sat down and threw his arms back and looked up at the big screen.
Game over.
Game over.
Got
the rest of the team just followed him.
Okay.
We didn't do that last night. We continued to play. But we, as the game went on, me and Brothers was watching it, and we just said, man, tired. They just got wore out.
Now,
Gotcha.
and is that from the third downs?
Yes, ma'am.
And not getting off the field, or
Yes,
was
ma'am.
some of that coming out of a bye week? Seriously, because you would think that a bye week you would be refreshed,
Right.
Yeah.
You would think.
That was third downs. That I'm telling you, that down there. That is the biggest down in the world from being from celebrating. You know, just think when it's 3rd and 1, and you're on the goal line, it's 3rd and goal, and you stop them. You see how people jump up in there like they don't want the
nuts.
Super Bowl, you know. But in the same token, you go out in the middle of the field, it's 3rd and 9, you should stop them. All of a sudden, you up by 6. And they complete that 3rd and 9.
Right. Yeah.
And you just see the defense like, oh,
well,
my God.
but that's why some of these calls, or the timeout that was called right before Daniel Ross got the sack, but particularly the Leighton Van Der
Yes.
Esch penalty,
Yeah.
Yes.
Marcus Mariota. You know, I thought from field level, I thought it was a bogus call. I mean, I understand that, yes, he did make contact with the helmet, but what else can Van Der Esch do to pull up and not hit him? You know, I mean, it's football. So, but, you know, they get that penalty and move on.
First
so
down.
there were just, exactly. But, hey, one of the things, you know, the loss last night, 28-14, it's in the rearview mirror. There's nothing we can do to change it. In my column today for 5 Points Blue, whenever we have a big loss like that, my title and the way I do the article is CSI Arlington, because you know, crime scene investigation. We have the dead body, right? The loss, and then you do the investigation and come up with the clues and try and figure out what happened. But last night is in the past, so. Nate, what do you see moving forward with this team? And let's start with Amari Cooper, who again, scored a touchdown last night and led the team with 5 receptions.
And we've got some tough opponents going forward.
This is the meat of the schedule.
Yeah.
Miss Kristi, Miss Nikki, I'm going to be honest with you. And to each individual player understand his value to the team, it's hard to say. I mean, you got a left guard. He's in the middle of a battle. He ain't never thought in his life. The NFL is bringing him something he ain't never. The challenge of getting up every week, knowing that the NFC East, our division, has those guys that is his worst enemy. That's great inside play.
Oh, and guess
Coming
what?
after
Guess
him.
what? Fletcher Cox is
Sunday.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks, Nate. I'm feeling so much better now.
But he got his own individual battle. You got our right tackle, who last year you could not tell me that he was not going to be one of the top 5 or 6 right tackles in the game because he had progressed so much during the season. Yeah. Now for him to fall back to where he is now, where he's barely just a notch above our left guard, Lyle is struggling.
Right.
Do you think it had to do with just changing up a lot of the stuff in the off season?
Yes, because it took him a while to become a right tackle.
Because he used to play guard.
Right.
Yes. So
I remember
now
that.
all of a sudden he learning how to use his right hand, doing it that way, and then he switched.
Doing it the Paul Alexander way?
He learning how to do it Frank Pollock's way, then had to learn how to do it this way, and he struggled badly.
Gotcha.
So now they're coming back to this. So it's a mind game. How much sacrifice are you willing to put in? You know, time is sacrifice, because it's one thing to have a scheduled practice. It's another thing to be out there after practice is over with, or watching film when everybody's going home and critiquing yourself. How much are you willing to sacrifice? And so, you know, and then we got our left tackle, who's just this much off of being himself. How much of that is age and injury, and how much of that is technique? So he just
or communication, or you don't have Witten next to you helping block. When you've got these young guys.
Yeah, but he never
really had to have that much help in the past. But I just mean there's a whole lot of moving parts in this.
Well, I even wonder if it's a little overcompensation because he knows that there's no Frederick. And Connor Williams is out there. Like you said, there's no Witten. So he might be trying a little harder, and that little harder is messing him up.
Yeah, but this is why they made the move with what they're doing. Everything is predicated off of how well our offensive line can play. Mm-hmm. But the number one issue is simply this right here. And this is the bottom line. And teams that have elite quarterbacks can cover up all wrong.
Yeah, Tony Romo covered up a lot of woes.
Yeah. So
because he could spin out or get rid of the ball quickly or make a call, right?
He understood when Tony became Tony, he understood situational football. And I was telling my guys, Kurt and Shannon at the table, I said, do y'all ever stop and realize how great Aaron Rodgers really is? He's great. I said, no, do you really stop and realize?
Yeah, with that offensive line,
I say,
all the injuries. Ugh.
Let me give you an example. 2 weeks ago, he almost beat the Rams if a kid would have just stayed in the end zone. Yeah. He did this. He almost beat the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Now, let me give y'all, do y'all know who their right guard was for them this past week?
I know the answer, but
you know?
Yeah,
I don't.
Tell us.
He used to play for the Cowboys. Byron Bell, who was our swing tackle last year, our backup tackle, and so he left in free agency, and he ended up signing with the Packers. And he was not starting, but then got pressed into service because they've had so many injuries along the offensive line.
And their right tackle went out. Mm-hmm. Now, I have nothing against Mr. Bell, and I have nothing against their backup right tackle, but these guys can't play. Mm-hmm. They can't play. And Aaron Rodgers kept them in that game. Wow. And see, when you look at that, and you be like, simply because he would not take a sack, simply because he understood the situation of football, simply because he has the experience, but he knew, like, I can't take the sack.
So let me ask you this. Do you think Dak has that potential? I mean, this is only his third year. Do you think he has that potential to be that kind of quarterback, an elite quarterback?
I think
is that a hard question? Is it too soon to ask that question?
The word potential means that you don't have it yet.
Correct, because he doesn't.
So
right?
I think that
do we agree on
that answers. Jerry Jones was asked today on our flagship station, 105.3 The Fan. He did his weekly call-in show every Tuesday morning, and he was asked about Dak, and he said that he's a young player and he's going to be extended. By that, he meant extending the contract. Now, what else is Jerry going to say? Of course, he's going to back his guy. And he's that kind of owner anyway, and glass half full and all that kind of stuff. And you sure don't want to bag on your quarterback with half a season to play. But I mean, there are questions. Let's just put it this way: everyone is under evaluation every single week in the NFL.
To answer your question, this is what I believe. And for the last 4 games, he has went against his very nature because he's turning the ball over. That is what endeared him to fans.
Right, because his first year he did not turn the ball over.
Right.
Correct.
So now, Dak, you used to play halfway decent situation of football. Go back to that. I don't care what you do. Coach once told me, we brought you in the league because we saw your potential of this, but this is what got you here. You could catch the ball, son. This is what got you here. Now, we knew we may have to teach you routes, but we didn't think we had to teach you to catch the ball because now go back to your roots. Catch the ball. Dak didn't turn the ball over. Dak turning the ball over. Whether his fault or not, you're turning the ball over. Okay, if it's the receiver's fault, I think they went out and tried to fix that. Okay, if it's the offensive line fault, they're trying to fix that. But the 1 or 2 times that is not these people's fault, you have to come clean. When you're running out of bounds, throw the ball away. Don't hold the ball. Now, I'm not saying you got to run. I'm not like most people, hey, run. But you know, last night in the 4th quarter, you held that ball too long, and Collins gave up a sack because you held that ball too long. Yeah,
that sometimes the sacks aren't the fault of the offensive line. You know?
Yeah, and
but you know, Dak recognized. You know, he's owned up to. He's up there at the podium 30 minutes after the game saying, yeah, I forced that ball to Amari Cooper. I shouldn't have thrown it. And so, I mean, he knows and we have to remember he's still a relatively young player in the NFL.
But see, Miss Kristi, for the next 8 games, it got to be that way.
Yep.
Because I'm going to tell you something. It's your job, and he cherishes his job. There's a few guys on this team that cherish their job, and I can call some that I think that don't.
Right.
But this guy cherishes his job. Like, you know, our offensive line, they cherish their jobs. They, you know, but it comes a point where sometimes I just don't think they should bring players to the podium because especially, you know, quarterbacks have to do it, but I wish they wouldn't do that to Dak because it's going to come a point where everything is going to fall on his shoulder.
Right.
It's going to come a point, I don't care what they say about the offensive coordinator, what they say about the head coach, eventually it's all going to fall onto his shoulders. Now, one thing we don't know from him as a young guy, will he work through this? Will he get through this? Or will the weight of this team take him under? That's the question I don't know. That's the question he has to answer. Because I've seen young quarterbacks, but 4 years or under, where the weight of the team just...
It's too much.
It's too much. So, Ms. Kristi, I mean, maybe you may have some ideas of where you feel about that situation.
Well, I mean, he's got all the intangibles, all the high character qualities. He's a serious-minded guy, and he's gone through a lot of adversity in his personal life. And even though he does a lot of commercials and the like, he's not what Parcells would call a celebrity quarterback. No. At least not in my opinion. I don't think he is. But I think if there's anybody from a character standpoint and who they are as a person to handle these types of things, I think that it would be Dak. And so that's why, I'm trying to remain optimistic about the rest of the season. And it's hard right now, less than 24 hours after a crushing loss like that, when, this was a game that was winnable for the Cowboys. Obviously, they all are. They should have. They should have. The Titans. Yeah, it's very, very disappointing, and so it's all doom and gloom and crime scene investigation. The day after a loss.
Where do you put this loss? To me, I'm still sitting there saying, how did we lose this?
Right. I feel like the ones that you're expected to win are the worst ones to lose.
Yeah, and to me, what was disappointing, we knew that the offense was not going to be fixed in one fell swoop, one bye weekend, even with the change at coach on offensive line and bringing in Cooper, even though he just went right into the deep end. There was no toe dipping and in the shallow water and wading in. I mean, he was out there and playing different spots and running lots of different routes. So pleased with Cooper and what I saw with that. But the disappointing thing was the defense for the Cowboys, which, this team could have 5 wins easily this season because the defense has played that well. You could maybe even argue 6 wins this season because the defense has been playing so well. But they did not play as well last night. It was mainly the third downs. And then when they did get the takeaways, the offense was not able to capitalize on it. And then our special teams has been okay. Yeah. But, we haven't been winning field position battles as we have in the past. So I think that just all 3 facets, there's only been, I think Jacksonville was really the only game where we won in all 3 facets.
This is an offensive league.
Okay.
And defense is. I talked to some coordinators and I talked to people. Defenses now, if you have 6 drives on me, 6 times 3 is what?
18. Mm-hmm.
But if I have 4 drives on you, 4 times 7 is what?
28. Yep.
You can have it 6 times, or you can have it even 7 times, and all I got to do is score touchdowns.
Yeah, it's quality, not quantity.
Yes. And the Patriots got a saying: you can come into our house and you can score 3s all day, but you would never beat us. And that's their motto. And that's gonna become our motto. You can score all the 3s you want, but if we can get us 4 times in the red zone with 7, 9 times out of 10 we're gonna beat you.
That's the W. Well, we are out of time. Thank you, Nate. But before we go,
really appreciate it. Thank you.
Before we go, I have to ask this one question. We're going to Philly on Sunday. What has to happen? They are the
Straighten this out, for crying out loud. What is going on?
I agree with Brad. That's it. They got to straighten it out. No, I mean, I'm not saying this is necessarily going to be Custer's last stand for the Cowboys, but you can't come, 6 losses would be, They need to quiet the noise, and the way to do that, to cover all the blemishes, is to get a win.
How do we do that, Nate?
We do that by being, and I hate to sound like Coach Gary, by being efficient.
Yeah.
And like she said, you can't beat yourself. No self-inflicted, no turnovers.
No stupid penalties.
Right out of my mouth.
Or controversial penalties, either way,
And every time you go into the red zone, you have to get 7. On the road, that is so paramount.
Yes.
Whenever you're in the opponent's red zone, 7.
Don't settle for get 7.
You got to go. And
can't even afford to lose the coin toss anymore.
You're right, Douglas.
If you allow the other team to defer, it's a huge problem to overcome.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, we'll be back next Tuesday. Thank you again, Nate. Thank you for staying with us. You got to come back and join us again.
You bet. Open invitation.
That's definitely. We'll see you next week. Thank you for watching on 5 Points Blue.
This has been a production of 5 Points Blue, DallasCowboys.com, and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.